Hello, my name is Will Van Busker, owner of Bluebird Consulting. Our team builds out Smartsheet solutions for customers across the world. One of the tools that we use is Control Center. It is a powerful automation tool within Smartsheet. And though it may be easy to set up at first, it has the potential to become very powerful and also complex. So today I'd like to take some time to review what Control Center is, how it works, and how you can determine if it's a valuable tool for you. Let's get started. Control Center is a powerful tool that can duplicate projects and leak information from an intake sheet to within a project and then out to a summary where a manager can review all the information and all the values being passed back and forth for all the projects. A Control Center implementation would show a view like this, where you're able to see everything that's going on within your portfolio, how many projects are active, perhaps how much the budget is being used. And then from here, you can jump in any of the specific projects by just clicking on this link. It's going to take you into that specific project where you're able to review where the timeline is, the health of the project in more depth. And even from here, you can jump deeper into specifically what the project plan is doing. You're able to see that this information is all preloaded in here when the project is created. That is able to happen because Control Center can link information from an intake sheet where you queue up the project to within your project here. We usually use a metadata sheet that is able to relay that information from the intake to all the assets within the project and then finally to the summary sheet. And that summary sheet is used to display the information for a portfolio like this. With a summary sheet, you can bring all the details back together, even if there are teams that aren't even shared the same information. It gives you this one place to see all of the important details across your portfolio. So Control Center is able to link all of this stuff together and also create a project folder. To understand Control Center better, it's good to see how it works with the intake. When a new project needs to be created, a user would be able to fill out information like the project name, the project number, the status, and information about who's associated as well as the budget information. Once they're ready to have the project created, they can simply check this box and Control Center will activate to create the entire project. Once Control Center has created this project, it will have these little arrows out showing that it's linking out to a new project, and the created and SCC will be checked. It usually takes 1 to 3 minutes for a project to be spun up. Now you can see that the project has been created. There's a link here in the dashboard. And there's the created and SCC checked off. That means that the project has been created in Smartsheet Control Center. Now, sometimes we use a column like approval to make it so that you can spin the project up. But this is a simple example, and it can show how easy it is to just create a project. I already click on this link, it'll take me to the project's dashboard. All this information got created just now by initiating Control Center. Now let's talk about how to set Control Center up properly. Control Center has a special GUI just to configure properly. On the right-hand side, you'll see that there's the Blueprint Basics, Source Template Settings, Blueprint Components, Intake Settings, Profile Data Selection, Customized Profile Data, Blueprint Summary, Naming, and Permissions and Sharing. I want to mention that you can enable extra features like work apps or resource management as well. But today we'll go over some of the key fundamental configurations you'll want to set up properly. So to start out with on this page, in the Blueprint Basics, you're able to name your blueprint and also set up where it should go. So you have the ability to make it so that each blueprint can go into a pre-selected workspace, or you could have it create a new workspace each time. These are the only ones that you could have using the automation. If you were to turn off the automation, you'd be able to have it so a user can select one or the other as well. So there are more options available to enable users to select their own. We don't always recommend this because it's easier usually for it to be automated process, but it is available for users to use. So next is a source folder. Each blueprint is set up to be able to take one specific folder and all the assets inside. We typically have solutions that have under 100 assets inside. So this folder would have under 100 items, and that includes sheets, reports, and dashboards. When we set up for automation to make it so that you could just request the project to be spun up, we set it up so all the assets are built and required. If you were to make it optional, that would mean that you would need to have a user go in and create the project so that they could select or deselect the specific assets involved. When you add a new item to this folder, you will need to go back through Control Center to make sure that it can confirm either the name change or the new item added. This is where you can set up the blueprint components. The intake sheet is essential because it's always going to be the place where you queue the project up. The summary sheet is great for reporting. Dynamic report scope is crucial for making sure your reports are looking at the specific information they need. So for example, if you wanted to set up a My Task report, perhaps you want the report to look at every new project plan created. Dynamic report scope would help you do that so that you don't have to have the report looking at all assets created. You're only looking at new project plans added. Resource management is also where you could integrate to a resource manager component in Smartsheet and basically create a project on that side while you're creating a project in Control Center. The intake settings are where you set up your intake to be able to create a project, to mark when a project has been created already, and also to set up things like the dashboard link or a link to any asset that you set. The profile data selection is a crucial piece where you are able to configure what is going to be linked from your intake to inside the project. You'll want to make sure that the naming is exactly the same. And how this looks inside the project is, for example, in here, the project name is exactly named the same as the column. So therefore, when Control Center spins up the project, it is able to link this value from the intake to populate your project. Customized profile data is where you can specifically set up for it to either one-time write or selling. You also do have the option for editable value, where the user would need to edit that when they create the project. We don't usually recommend this because that would mean the user needs to spin it up themselves instead of is the automations. The summary section is where you're bringing the data back up. So it's crucial that you take the data from your individual projects and bring them back to a portfolio so that you can show where everything was brought back together. So we are configuring the aspect of coming out of the project into the summary sheet so that you can make sure your portfolio dashboard has the view that you need. This will help you set it up and make sure that you have all the proper values being brought out of the project. This is where you can name it. So every time a new project's created, you can leverage the name in the row to make sure that your projects are distinguished, but is not able to retroactively name. So it's crucial to get this naming convention set up right initially, because when you try to rename a project, you have to do it manually. And then finally, permissions. A lot of times we'll set it up so that the projects are being created in the same workspace, but sometimes you could be sharing specific users to projects as they get generated. You could add your users here to do so. When you're setting up Control Center, it's crucial to go all the way through and click Save Here. You'll notice that any of the other windows do not have the ability to save. So when we make changes, it's crucial to go all the way through. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. We'll dive deep into Smartsheet's features here on this channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video.